having things just very visual for me, whether it's a checklist or a printed plan or a workbook. My brain often needs to see the work in order to want to engage with it. And so inviting these sorts of tools into my life has been super, super helpful. I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger podcast. You know that feeling when you either say something or you post something and you immediately realize that you have just struck a nerve? Well, that's what happened with a carousel I shared on Instagram recently. It was called 10 Normal Things I Didn't Know Were ADHD, and the post kind of blew up. Not because it was super shocking or really controversial, but because it was painfully relatable. Thousands of people were sharing the post, hundreds of comments from women saying, "Wait, I do all of these," or "I've never felt so seen," or "Jenna, are you living in my brain?" And honestly, same. That post wasn't written from research or theory. It was my lived experience. In this episode, I am sharing the full backstory behind that post, how I accidentally discovered that I had ADHD at the age of 34 and how it shaped every part of my life, from business to motherhood to how I function on a random Tuesday afternoon. We're going to talk about the signs that I missed for years, where ADHD helped me build my business, where it quietly made things way harder, what I've done to try and support my brain since getting diagnosed, and what I wish more women knew. This is part story, part strategy, and part love letter to every woman who thought she was just bad at life. Let's rewind to that post and why it mattered so much. Okay, so I'm going to guess that you missed my post because that's the nature of social media. So here's kind of a quick recap. So I created this carousel and it was titled 10 Normal Things I Didn't Know Were ADHD. And then I said they felt like quirks or flaws, and turns out they were clues. Then I listed things like sitting in my parked car in the garage after getting home because transitions feel overwhelming, or eating the same meal obsessively for weeks and then never wanting to touch it again, or needing background noise to focus, but then also getting super overstimulated by it, repeating the same song on a loop for days because I just love knowing what's coming up next. It calms my nervous system. Or talking about the chair in my closet that's become this mountain of clean clothes that I just simply can't deal with or put back. Like, each one of these normal things sparked this wave of recognition. And again, I got all these messages. Like, people were saying like, "I thought I was just lazy," or "I've been masking this for years," or "I had no idea that was a thing." And let me just say, this post was not meant to be diagnostic. It was meant to be a mirror. And for a lot of women, including me, it reflected something that we've never been able to name. Now, really quick, as I list out those things, I also just want to say these can also be symptoms of other things like a dysregulated nervous system or a very busy life. And so I just want to call out and acknowledge that ADHD shows up differently for everyone, but there are specific things that can be linked to true issues that ADHD can exasperate. And so it's not just like the funny, like, "Oh yeah, I eat the same breakfast every day." It's actually tied to specific traits that people that are neurodivergent have. So again, this is not meant to be diagnostic. I just simply want to share my experience because it has been so life-changing for me. So here's kind of the funny story. So I once invited this ADHD expert. Her name is Tracy Otsuka, and she came onto my podcast. And I'm going to link up her episodes because I also had her come back on the show after this. And I just wanted her to come on the show. She sent in a pitch to the podcast. I thought it was fascinating. I didn't know much about ADHD, and I was like, this is awesome content. So I had Tracy on the show. We're doing the whole interview. I'm doing it through the lens of just somebody who's curious and wants to learn more. And as soon as the interview ends, she asked me, she goes, "So when were you diagnosed?" And I was like, "Wait, what? I haven't been. I've never been diagnosed." After we stopped recording, she gently said, "Jenna, I have listened to your show for a while, and a lot of the systems you've created in order to be productive are actually adaptations for ADHD." And she said, "I am not going to diagnose you, but I genuinely think you should check out and maybe get diagnosed yourself." Basically, this started a spiral in my life. I was Googling like crazy. I basically had this quiet unraveling that was actually becoming. And within a few months, I had a formal ADHD diagnosis at the age of 34. Now, this was so enlightening to me because I had never even considered that I had it. But what was so interesting is after that interview with Tracy and after that conversation, I started talking to my family members. And I can literally remember where I was sitting. I brought it up to my mom and I was like, I had this expert on and we were talking. And then like a lot of the things she said made a lot of sense and all this stuff. And my dad from across the room goes, "Oh yeah, I definitely had ADD as a kid and I still have it as an adult." And I was like, "Wait, what? Come again?" Like we've never talked about this in my family. And then my sister was like, "Yeah, this actually really resonates for me as well." And it was just funny because it was something that my dad was like, this is like painfully obvious for him, but it was never something that was brought up and really never something that was pinpointed in us as kids. And looking back now, I can see like it was all there. Like I was somebody who was a high achiever. I've always been that way, but I had to work super hard. Like I had to fight for my achievements. I remember my brother, such a smart person, just brilliant. He's so smart. I don't ever remember a day in his life that he studied. Like I cannot picture him sitting at the kitchen table with a book open. Like that guy, like things seemed to come easily for him, where I was somebody who was like cramming and anxious about tests. To this day, one of my greatest challenges, I would say, is that I cannot trust my brain to hold on to information. Even since I was a kid, I had a lot of test anxiety. I would write things on sticky notes. I'd write things on my hands. I would write things everywhere because I had a lot of fear that I was going to forget things that were important. And I still have that today. Like I will drive my team crazy because I'll have this random thought. And alongside of that thought is this fear that I'm going to forget this thought. And I just need to put this thought somewhere so that I know someone can keep it safe for me. And so like that is kind of how it was. When I was a student, I would just cram for exams. And then I would literally feel as I walked out of that classroom after the exam that I was just letting go of all the information. I can honestly feel like a visceral feeling of all the information just exiting my brain. Like it is gone. It is done. I am somebody, I cannot sit regular in chairs. Like sitting with my feet on the ground feels like punishment. I am a fidgeter. I change positions often. Like I remember if I ever had to sit in the front of the classroom and I couldn't put my feet up on the basket on the desk in front of me, it was like the worst. Like I didn't know what I was going to do. Even when I'm in a car, I sit with one leg up. Like I just am constantly regulating with my body. At restaurants, I put my feet up. Like I can't sit at high tops. It's just a thing. I am also somebody who I have like a million ideas, a million thoughts. It's all very overwhelming. I have no idea where to start. And I have really, really, really over the last few years since getting diagnosed, I have learned and trained myself on like how to rest. Like it is really hard for me. Rest takes just as much work as doing the work. And so in my brain, I'm like, I might as well get stuff done. And so I have had to learn a lot of these things, but now looking back, I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of signals that I was maybe struggling with this and I either masked it well or it just presented itself in a confusing way. And honestly, back then, like people weren't really looking out for this, especially with kids that were doing all right. And what's interesting is that like as a kid, I felt really sensitive, and I can see this in one of my children. Like she is just a deep feeler. I was a deep feeler. And as a kid, I just thought like, I'm just too sensitive. As a woman, I just thought like, I'm bad at balance. But it turns out that like the undercurrent under all of this is just a brain that works differently. And I didn't know that. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so it's been a really interesting journey. I would highly recommend if you are someone who suspects that you might have ADHD or you might be neurodivergent, For me, there's something in a diagnosis that just validates you. Like it just makes you feel like you're not crazy. And for me, it has been incredibly helpful to just learn different tendencies and habits and things that maybe trip me up or that I maybe hated about myself for years and see like where this is coming from and also learn tools and strategies to try to affect it in a positive way. And so naturally, getting diagnosed has really allowed me to kind of reflect and like look back and be like, all right, where did this like totally help me? And where did this make things way harder? And so this is where I think things can get interesting. And here's maybe a plot twist. Like ADHD didn't just make life harder. It helped me build the life I have now. And I think I'd be remiss to only acknowledge the parts where it's challenging because it is challenging. But I think it's really powerful to look at all the beautiful ways that it's made me. It's helped me to show up in this way. It's allowed me to build this business. I'm just naturally multi-passionate. I have done a million things. It was funny. The other day I was talking to someone and she kind of knew what I was doing at this stage of my career. But as we were talking, all of these different things that I've done in the past came up. And she was like trying to connect all the dots from, like wedding photographer to watercolor artist to podcasting courses, like writing a book, like all these different things. And it was honestly kind of funny. Like I have built a very multifaceted brand and my brand has just naturally evolved as I've evolved, as my passions have evolved over time, which is honestly such a blessing. And so being multi-passionate, having just like countless ideas, millions of ideas, a bajillion things I feel like I could do, like I could never be bored. And I think that that is a huge blessing. I also think that my ADHD has really just helped me be super creative, to see different possibilities, to do things in a different way. I have been very intuitive throughout my entire life. And so I feel like my brain is like constantly connecting dots and like looking for similarities and trying to really honor and follow like what I'm feeling and where I think I need to go next. I am somebody who thrives when it gets into a very specific thing. Like when I am launching something, like hyper focus is my superpower. When I find something that I am excited about, it is the exact opposite of taking exams and cramming for exams as a child. It is like I can't consume enough. Like right now, I am nerding out over welcome sequences for email lists. Yes, these are the things I nerd out about. And I am so hyper focused and excited and energized about this one specific thing that I am like diving deep and I'm doing research and I'm doing all these different things. And so ADHD can give you this like ability to hyper focus in on something that you get excited about. And maybe if you have ADHD, you've noticed like all of a sudden you're going all in on this one thing. Like, for me, I've done a million things, but like you might have noticed like all of a sudden I'm all in on sourdough and then I'm all in on gardening and I do all these things and I still do all of these things in my real life. So I didn't lose the steam on them, but I get like so into it where I'm like, I want to know everything about it. I want to do it. I want to experience it. Hyper focus. Yes. Amen to this. I also think my ADHD has helped me to take risks and like trust my gut. It's helped me to build a business before there was like a specific blueprint for what I wanted to do. And even to this day, I feel it in my soul as I'm looking ahead of like, what do I want to do next? And what do I want this next version and this next evolution to be? I feel like I have been able to take risks and I've been able to just trust my instincts and follow through and see creatively areas where I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I can step into that. Maybe before I'm ready, I'm going to try this. And so my brain, it's very scrappy. It's very solution oriented. And I will argue it is wildly resourceful. Like I feel like I learned from my parents early on, like where you lack resources, you can be resourceful. And I think that I have been able to do all of these things and so much more, many parts in thanks to my ADHD. This episode of the Goal Digger Podcast is brought to you by Mercury, modern business banking designed for entrepreneurs who want less stress behind the scenes. You know that moment when your kids are independently playing, or better yet, napping, and your laptop's open and you've got exactly 1 hour to be the CEO and the CFO? Well, Mercury gets how real that window is. It's a streamlined platform made for businesses just like yours, where every minute and every dollar counts. With Mercury, you get powerful business banking with no hidden fees and instant access to virtual cards with 1.5% cash back. You can receive funds, pay vendors, send invoices, and manage loans from one central dashboard. Whether you need to pay contractors, send international payments in US dollars, or access founder-friendly capital, Mercury brings all the ways you use money into a single product. That's right, no more juggling multiple platforms. Over 200,000 startups and small businesses already trust Mercury to help them operate at their highest level. Mercury is a technology company, not a bank. Check the show notes for details. Deposit $5,000 or spend $5,000 using your Mercury credit card within your first 90 days to earn $250, or do both for $500 in total rewards at mercury.com/goal. That's mercury.com/goal. My team has been using monday.com for years. It's how we manage launches, projects, and all the moving pieces in our business. When we made the switch, everything changed. We went from scattered docs and Slack chaos to a single space where everyone could see what's happening and when. That's why I was excited to learn that monday.com's CRM platform brings the same clarity to customer relationships. It's fast, flexible, and built for adoption, giving your revenue and customer-facing teams a CRM that they'll actually enjoy using. And it's more than just managing contacts. Monday's CRM connects your entire customer journey from first touch to long-term retention, bringing sales, success, and operations together in one fully customizable workspace. With AI at its core, it takes care of the heavy lifting, like lead scoring, forecasting, and auto-generated summaries, so that your team can focus on closing deals, not chasing them. Move deals faster with an AI-powered CRM your team will actually use. Visit monday.com/CRM to learn more. Okay, so these are the areas where ADHD helped me shine, but let's also hit on the spots where it maybe made things just a little bit harder. Yes, there are areas where I'm like, I would never trade this brain for anything, and I still wouldn't, but there's always the other side. So I am someone who I get so excited. I cannot wait to start something. I am like all in, ideating. I move fast, and I get annoyed when people don't move as fast as I do. But I also can struggle to follow through and finish things that I start. I saw this growing up with my dad. My dad is the handiest person I have literally ever met. I took for granted as a child that like my dad can fix anything. Like literally, if it's something in the house, he can fix it. If it's a car engine, he can fix it. If it's the lawnmower, like my dad is like a Swiss Army knife. But he was so good because he would get so obsessed and excited about a project. And then sometimes he would struggle in finishing it up, right? Like we renovated our downstairs bathroom and he did everything. I mean, it was absolutely insane. But then like the trim never fully got finished, or the paint didn't totally get done. And so I am someone like that where like I get really excited, and I have learned to hire people that can help me finish what I start, that can take things across the finish line. When I lose steam or momentum or energy, I need someone to help me list out the things that actually get it out into the world. Like Marissa on my team is my right hand. She is a type A angel. And when I first hired her, we struggled for a while because I am so type B, and Marissa came in just this ops genius. And I struggled because immediately when she came in, she was doing her job, which was to like create systems and structure around the company. And I was resistant to all of that because I was like flying by the seat of my pants. Now, Marissa and I joke that like our two brains create one because we're both raising kids and we're doing life and we're also doing work together. But what's beautiful is that I am the person who like, I come up with the idea and I have the energy around it and I get into creation mode, and Marissa helps get it to completion mode. And so I've had to learn how to work with people that can kind of wrangle my ideas and then put them into action. And along with that, I've also had to hire people that will challenge me, right? Because yes, I am steering the ship, but the ship has the entire team on it. And I need people on my team where if I get this idea and I just want to go full steam ahead, they have to remind me, okay, if we're going to do this thing, then the other thing that you said was important is not going to get done. And it really has to challenge me and my energy in a positive way to help me stay focused and to help me stay in alignment with what I say matters most. And so those things have been absolutely critical because basically I picture it like a bowling alley, and these types of humans and boundaries are basically like the bumpers that keep the ball going straight down the path to knock down the pins. And without the bumpers on, you better believe your girl is landing in the gutter every single time. And so I look at like my business, especially since I became a mom, and realize like that in honoring the way that I can struggle and in hiring and allowing people to step in areas that I don't shine, I have created a business that allows for so much more peace than if I was just constantly creating chaos. And I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs and also entrepreneurs with ADHD crave chaos. I am also someone who I can easily underestimate how long something will take. And then I can overload myself or unfortunately overload my team because I'm like, well, yeah, this is easy. Let's just get this done. Let's just knock it out. And so I am someone who can say like, oh, this isn't going to take that long. I've got this. This will be fine. In reality, it takes way longer. I mean, it's kind of like if you're going to do a home renovation where they're like double the timeline, double the budget, same is true in business. I also realized that like for so many years at the beginning of my business, I did not want systems. I didn't want structure. I didn't want meetings. I didn't want any of that. That felt so constraining to me. And I am someone who like, I don't like having plans on my calendar because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel next Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to want to do that. I am so like in my own energy that I'm like, I want to commit to things at the very last minute, which is not how life works. Right. And so for a very long time, I didn't have any sort of systems. And so when I brought Marissa into my business, when I became a mom and realized I cannot keep running it like this and also be the type of mom I want to be, we started creating systems. And I have gotten so system oriented because I recognize that with my brain, systems are not just like a fancy thing. They help us survive. And they allow me to be more creative in my life and in my business because I have the systems and structure to follow through on the things that I need to do and that are going to get done. And so when I finally became a mom after all those years, the mental load of it like nearly broke me. Like my brain never turns off. To this day, my brain does not shut off. And sometimes I can come at the mental load from this place of like urgency instead of presence. Like my dream is to just be this like very grounded, very here, I'm in the moment woman. And I am. I mean, I've learned to do that much better than I have in the past. But in understanding that like my brain is going to be the busiest place to be, and I need to figure out ways and boundaries and systems to allow my brain to rest and to allow me to rest knowing that the important things are going to get done and everything's going to be okay. That has allowed me to shift so much into a more mindful and present person. Because even when I think about the word present and being present, like being present is like being in this moment right now. In this moment right now, I'm wondering, what are my kids doing? Is Drew okay? What are we eating for dinner? I forgot to respond to that RSVP. Like my brain is thinking of all these things, even while I'm sitting here recording this right now. And so I have to like come back to myself and come back to my body. Even this morning, one of my daughters is having a tough moment and I could tell she was just like feeling a lot. Again, deep feelers. We've got deep feelers here. And so I sat down on the floor with her and I was like, where do you feel this in your body? And she pointed to her chest. And I sat with her and I was like, that's where I feel things too. And so we put one hand on her chest, one hand on her belly. And I said, when you feel that like nervous feeling in your chest, the best thing you can do is to get back into your body and just remind yourself that you are safe. And so we sat there and then my other daughter came over while sitting there on the floor. We have one hand on our chest, one hand on our belly. We're taking deep belly breaths. And I was like, a lot of times that like feeling, that anxiousness comes when we're not grounded in our body. And I feel like that right there, just not only as a mom, but just as a human was like a reminder of like the grounding work that I need to do, that I think we all need to do, whether you have ADHD or not, to just get back into your body and to get back into your moment and get back into your life. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually helped. I think it's really awesome to look back on my business and say, okay, these are the areas where I have been able to shine. These are the areas where I've struggled, but like now what, right? People ask me this a lot. What helps? So here's kind of what's worked for me. And again, I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I am someone who has just had this lived experience. So first things first, I have personally chose to not medicate. It's something that I have not written off at all. It's not off the table. It's just something I haven't pursued yet. When I was first diagnosed, it was in between my daughters and we were trying to figure out like when I was going to get pregnant again and breastfeeding and all this stuff. And I just didn't want to throw another variable into the equation. And so it's just something I remain curious about, but I have not done yet. Now, I have tried microdosing. And I have found it helpful in a really quiet way. I didn't know anything about microdosing. I learned about it from a friend who is incredibly passionate about it as a mom herself. And it's a rabbit hole you can go down if you so choose. I do find it helpful. I microdose on certain days when I just have a lot on my plate and I need to be more focused. It's not something you do every single day. It's just been interesting. And I haven't really shared a lot about it because it can be slightly controversial. But for me, it's just been a path that felt a little bit more aligned and something I was curious about and willing to experiment with. But here's what's helped me the most. So one of the things that has helped me a lot is movement. And I used to be somebody who I hated working out. I didn't crave it. I didn't understand it because my husband is someone who like needed to work out. I didn't get it. I was like, I don't need to work out. I should work out. I don't need to. Now I feel that. Like even last night as we were going to bed, I was looking at my day today. I had a ton of podcasts, just a lot of work. And I was like, I've got to get a movement break in. And so movement for me has been incredibly helpful. Even doing things like rowing, joining the rowing team last year, and I'm going to be doing it this year as well. When I am out on the water and all I can think about is my hand on the oar and how I'm going to be moving it and all the different things, I can't think about anything else, right? I remember texting Drew last summer. I was out on Lake Superior. The sun was rising. I was in a solo rowing boat and I was rowing. And I remember just texting him like, I don't remember feeling this happy or free in a long time, not because I'm unhappy, but because I felt like my brain was able to just like fully relax. I feel the same way when I'm walking, when I'm gardening. It's like when I can keep my body busy and my brain can slow down. If you are somebody who has like impeccable shower thoughts, like you have the best ideas in the shower. I've had people who listen to this podcast and they have like a drawing pad that is waterproof that they keep in their shower. If you are somebody like that, this is an interesting thing is because you're busy enough that your brain is still kind of thinking about a task. Like you're still thinking about, washing your hair or sudsing up your body or whatever. So it's busy enough that you're not lost in your thoughts, but it's open enough because you know what you're doing and you've done it a million times to think of other creative things. And so what's helped me a lot is finding movement in ways that allows me to just kind of slow my brain down and be present in what I'm doing, but also just slow the amount of thoughts and the stream of consciousness down a bit. So movement has helped so much. It is something that I crave daily. It is something that I do daily now and in different ways. There are days where it's like chasing my kids is my movement, but most days I am in the gym, I'm moving, I'm walking, I'm doing things. I've even noticed for me, taking meetings while I'm walking, it helps me tick that box of like wanting to feel hyper productive all the time, which is something that I've just always had. But it also allows me to kind of slow things down because I'm still kind of thinking about walking on the treadmill. I don't want to land on my face. And so I do a lot of my meetings walking, and that has helped me not only get in my steps for the day, but also just kind of slow down my brain. Therapy has been absolutely huge for me, not just for support, but for exploring myself and like my inner world more. It has helped me understand patterns that I have. It has unraveled self-belief. It has helped my self-talk. It has helped me see and honor how ADHD has shaped my story. Therapy has been so transformative to me. I work with an incredible therapist. Her name is Ann Davin. Mel Robbins was my dear friend who recommended. I'd never done therapy before in my life. And oh my gosh, it has been so transformative for me. And what was interesting is that Mel and I were on a girls trip. We were talking about just a lot of deep stuff. And Mel was like, I really think you would benefit from doing therapy, which by the way, I think all of us would. And I started working with Anne, and like I have just learned so much about myself, about things that can trigger me, about things that are untrue that I've believed. Like it has been just incredible. It's so incredible. I think my mom would be okay with this, but my mom is now doing therapy with Anne, and like just seeing how powerful therapy can be. It's like this beautiful, beautiful honoring of who you are and what you've been through and walking through it. And I think I had all of these like Hollywood visuals of therapy, like laying on a couch and like talking to somebody. It's not that, at least for me, it's not that. And so therapy has been amazing. I've also been really trying to focus on like deep work windows. So like even today, I have 4 hours of just straight up recording. Sounds exhausting. It is exhausting, but like this is the only task I need to do. We as a team are implementing like slack off hours, as not in like slacking off, as in turning slack off and doing deep work so that we're not constantly pinged and pulled in a million directions. I've also been a huge person of like having the phone in the other room. We do not have our phones in our bedrooms. We've done this for probably a decade. And I joke because I am trying to get to one tab open on my computer. I'm recording this and there are probably 12 tabs open, so you can see how well I'm doing on that one. But trying to like be more linear and like complete something from start to finish, which is probably my greatest Achilles heel. We've been eyeing up some new furniture pieces for our lake house, and we have been loving Cozy because their furniture is amazing. Like it's so hard to choose because we love their vibe. It is clean, cozy, and modern, and it's seriously made for real life. With a brand new puppy and 2 kiddos who love to climb on everything and snacks that somehow get everywhere, we need furniture that adapts to us, not the other way around. And Cozy gets that. They make everyday home furnishings easy. Their pieces are modern, adaptable, and worry-free, which is honestly a dream when you are juggling a puppy and kids and just everyday life. What I love most about Cozy is how it opens up new home possibilities. Their modular designs literally grow with your life. Like you can add and rearrange or swap pieces as you need. And they have washable covers, which make cleanup feel so much more doable. It's your home, your way, and Cozy makes it all feel effortless. From easy assembly to mixing and matching styles, Cozy makes everything easy. I've never been more excited to cozy up. And yes, this pun is very much intended. Transform your living space today with Cozy. Visit cozy.com, spelled COZEY.com, the home of possibilities made easy. You know those things you create for yourself or your business after spending hours Googling and wondering, why has nobody made this yet? Yeah, you could sell them. That's exactly what I did with my presets and templates. And with Shopify, turning them into products was simple. Starting something new can feel overwhelming and lonely when you're wearing all the hats. But with Shopify, you don't have to do it alone. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from brands like Gymshark and Mattel to those just getting started. With hundreds of stunning, ready-to-use templates, you can build a beautiful online store that matches your brand. You can even accelerate your content creation with Shopify's AI tools that write product descriptions, craft page headlines, and even enhance your product photography with a single click. And with built-in email and social tools, it's like having a marketing team right in your back pocket. From inventory to shipping to returns, Shopify has the expertise to guide you every step of the way. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/goaldigger. Go to shopify.com/goaldigger. Again, that's shopify.com/goaldigger. Living 6 hours away from Drew's family means that we often opt to meet in the middle and get Airbnbs for our get-togethers. We've stayed in some pretty unforgettable places, like a house with an indoor pool, which was so fun for the Midwest, one where I discovered Drew's dad is a pool shark, and even a place with a hot tub that the kids refuse to leave. We've even celebrated holidays in these cozy homes away from home. And it got me thinking, if you've got a few trips on the calendar too, and your home's going to be empty, you should should be hosting. With Airbnb's co-host network, you can have a local co-host take care of everything. They can manage guest messages, check-ins, and all the details for you. It's not about turning your home into a business. It's about making it work for you on the days that you're not in it. So if travel's on your calendar, this is your sign to start hosting. Your space could be creating memories for someone else while you're off making your own. Find a co-host today at airbnb.com/host. Other things that have helped, and it's really fascinating because I have been talking about productivity tips since the beginning of this show, which is years and years and years ago before I knew I was diagnosed. But what's funny is that when I first presented these productivity things, I presented them as hacks, but truly they were like lifelines for somebody with ADHD. So batch working has been something I've done for a very long time where, I'll sit down and I'll write a batch of emails. I'll sit down and write a batch of blog posts, figuring out like, what can I do that is one task I have to set up once for. Time blocking. This has been huge for me. And even like with this show, sitting down, like today is a podcast show. All I want to focus on is the podcast. Anything extra that gets done, great, but it's not required. Today is a podcast show. The Pomodoro method, having different little timers in my life. My kids keep stealing my cute little timers and they use them for their quiet time. But like having a timer, setting it for 20 minutes and saying, I'll clean my closet for 20 minutes. Usually once I get going on something, I can keep going on it, but it's the starting that really is a struggle. And so again, like I presented these as like, these are productivity hacks. Nope, they are just lifelines for somebody with ADHD who struggles to get things done. Another thing that's been really helpful is we got like a visual calendar. So we have a skylight calendar in our pantry. So having it color coded so that both Drew and I can see what's coming up, what's on my plate. I can see when work is too heavy. I can see when there's nothing on the calendar, which is my favorite. Having things just very visual for me, whether it's a checklist or a printed plan or a workbook. My brain often needs to see the work in order to want to engage with it. And so inviting these sorts of tools into my life has been super, super helpful. I feel like I have just continued to learn and honor. And one of the things that I think is interesting is that if you are like me, you might not be like me. When I found out I had ADHD, I was like set on like solving it. Like I was just like, okay, I'm going to just like figure this thing out. I figured everything out in my life. The thing that I think has helped me the most is seeing where I get stuck or where I get frustrated or where I fall short. And just learning to like honor that and acknowledge it and not try to fix it and not try to like figure it out. So like, for example, in my closet, one of my worst tendencies is that I will get dressed for the day. I'll wear an outfit for maybe a few hours. It's not dirty, but it just needs to be put away. And I struggle with that piece. I don't know what it is. I can start the laundry and get it into the dryer all day long. I can even kind of fold it. I'm good at that. I used to work at Abercrombie & Fitch. I'm a great folder. Putting things away, so freaking hard. So I ended up getting a second hamper in my closet where I just put all of my clean but need to be put away clothes so that they're not just in a pile in my closet and they drive me nuts and I see it and I like feel like a slob and it just like, it eats at my soul. Another thing that I'm terrible at is time blindness. So I, again, underestimate how long something will take or overestimate like how much time I have. Like I'll notice like, oh, my Zoom call's in 5 minutes. Why don't I start a load of clothes, do the coffee maker and create cashew milk in 5 minutes? And then I'm running 5 minutes late. And I hate that about myself. It happens all the time. So just recognizing these things and then kind of putting in little checks and balances of like, okay, you are seeing this as like you have a ton of time. You don't pick one thing. So I've just learned to like understand how ADHD can present in my life. I've tried to see the areas where I'm just going to straight up struggle. And then I've tried to put in systems and a lot of grace to help me overcome those things so that I don't have this like self-hatred or just like this misunderstanding of myself of like, why can't you do something like open up the mail? Like right now in my house, there's a stack of mail. Probably all good mail. It's probably junk mail. I can't open it. I don't know. I can't return things. Like bringing something back. I tell myself I'm going to return this. I'm going to order 5 things. I'll keep 2 of them. Nope. Returns, death of me. You are dead to me. So, there's just a lot of things that I've learned and I've gotten in help and support in the areas where I struggle. Drew does all the returns. God bless him. So this leads me to my next part of my discussion, which is this. I think that when I posted my post, it was interesting because it resonated with a lot of people. And one thing that I've learned, especially about ADHD in women, is that a lot of women are getting diagnosed later and later in life. And a lot of women are getting diagnosed when their children are getting diagnosed. So if you listen to Tracy Otsuka's story, she was bringing her son in to get evaluated. And as she's getting her son evaluated, the doctor looks at her and he's like, "Hi, it's you as well. It's not just your son." And so a lot of women these days are getting diagnosed as their children are getting diagnosed, as awareness is being raised. I think that when we think of ADD or ADHD, we often think of these like jumpy kids who are super disruptive, who are like squirrel and can't focus. But for women, it often presents differently. And so what's interesting to me is that as women are getting more diagnosed and as awareness is being elevated so that we can understand ourselves, we also have to learn how to discern. And here's something I'm learning. Not everything is ADHD. The post that I posted, some people were arguing on it. Hey, this doesn't mean you have ADHD, which again, not a diagnostic post, but sometimes it could just be a dysregulated nervous system. Sometimes it could be chronic burnout or trauma or just motherhood or a busy season of life. The lines can blur. And I just want you to know that the lines can blur and the symptoms can overlap. And that's why just getting curious and not judgmental is the best place to start. It doesn't matter to me if you have ADHD or not. When you can start to do the inner work and explore why you are the way you are and why you do things in the way that you do them, and when you can start to honor who you are innately, that matters to me. It doesn't matter if you're neurodivergent or if you slap a label on it or not. When you start to understand how you work, how you think, how you show up, to me, that is the most beautiful work. I know that women have gone on to get diagnosed after listening to this podcast. I get messages about it every single week of women who discovered that they had it and how it cracked them open and they learned about it. For me, that was my experience. I didn't even once think that I had it until I learned about it and I saw it. And now that I saw it, I can't unsee it. And so how do I move forward with this? And so if I could go back 5 years and just whisper something to myself, I would say, Jenna, you're not bad at easy things. You just haven't learned how your brain works. Again, it's not about labels, it's about language. And now that I personally have it, I am building everything in my life with more compassion, with more intention, and with more clarity. So if you've been wondering, is it just me? Maybe it's not. We are going to link past episodes on ADHD in the show notes if you want to keep exploring this, if you want to go deeper. And if this resonated with you, send me a DM or share this episode with a friend who might need this light bulb moment. Sometimes it is easier to see ADHD in the people that we love than to see it in ourselves. There's a good chance that if this didn't resonate with you, there's somebody in your life who you're like, that's them. That's them. Send this episode to them. Help them to feel less alone. You are allowed to meet your brain where it is, not where the world told you it should be. So I hope you enjoyed this update on my ADHD journey. I will continue to share about it from my own lived experience. We'll link up all the past ADHD episodes in the show notes for you so you can go on a full-blown binge if this feels like an area that you want to continue to uncover, whether it's for yourself or for someone else. And above all, just thank you so much for hitting play on another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. Until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals and have a little empathy and compassion for you and the beautiful way you are and the way that your brain works. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.